The Santa Fe New Mexican's Daniel Chacon penned a thought-provoking article recently with the title, Espanola Walgreens Pegged at Center of New Mexico's Opioid Epidemic. His story piggybacked on the work by the Washington Post you might have seen, which examined the database released for the first time by the DEA that, quote, tracks the path of every single pain pill sold in the United States, end quote. The report showed that during the 7-year period from 2006 to 2012, a Walgreens in Espanola dispensed the third highest number of pain pills in the state. Chacon's article raised a lot of questions and sparked a fair amount of finger-pointing, from blaming pharmaceutical companies to the drugstore itself and obviously to the doctors who do the prescribing. And Crystal, Espanola is a city of 10,000 people, and the rate, it's so disproportionate. It's an insult to the word disproportionate. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What do you think happened here when you look at this? And I rattled off who people are pointing fingers at.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific?
So I was just recently in Espanola working with a client, and they talked about the social justice issues and like the pride that people have in Espanola.
Right.
And they're always saying like, Espanola is never afraid to actually air out the fact that we're not perfect. And then they say, and Santa Fe always seems like it's perfect, right? And so, but the thing that really bothers me about this report after reading it is, you know, there's a couple things to discuss with it. Number one, you know, Espanola is kind of a bigger city to those communities like Nambe, you know, I'm trying to remember the ones that, there's one in my head that I can't say. So, you know, it's... yeah. So, of course...
radius right around
yes, it's a town of 10,000, but it's just like Albuquerque. What's the greater area, you know, to take into consideration? And, you know, I was looking at that same post because I'm a data nerd myself, and I looked at the top 5 pharmacies. You know, Espanola being 3, Las Cruces being 4th, Alamogordo being 5th. Prime Therapeutics in Albuquerque is the top dispensary at 11 million pills. And that's it's like a call center like subscription service to pharmaceuticals as well. Like there is kind of a little bit of finger pointing towards Espanola, and I don't know if I agree with it.
Exactly right. Sophie, what do you make of that? I mean, that's a good point. I'm glad Crystal laid out the other places in the state. Right. Exactly right. Yeah.
That being said, Espanola, you know, it's still a pretty small community. It's surrounded by rural folk. There's a fair amount unfortunately, of poverty in that area. And to hear that that's not just the source of all of those pills, but also that's an area that has really struggled with opioid addiction. I mean, it's, you know, one of the community leaders points out that it is sort of in the heart of where what we view as the current opioid crisis in the U.S. that to a certain extent started there.
There's a reason the Post.
Yeah, I mean, there is a certain amount of like, okay, we're looking at this now, we're dealing with this now. We've known for some time that opioid addiction was a real crisis in our state.
Let me swing to Erica real quick on this. You know, we all remember the heroin epidemic that bedeviled Espanola for the early 90s and for a long, long time, actually. It's like the city can't get a break here. It's ridiculous. What do you make of this? Is this a watchdog problem? Was someone not watching closely here? Because the state has done some good work since this, you know, this period we're talking about in this report from Daniel Chacon. But what's your sense of that? What was the watchdog?
We have to be really frank and honest that the pharmaceutical industry has a huge, huge influence in the state legislature. The state representative who represented that, who's from that area, was one of the largest recipients of pharmaceutical dollars, Debbie Rodell, before she left. So just having leadership at the state level, at the local level, who sort of acknowledges and you know, the footprint of big pharma, and they've got a lock on Washington, that's clear. But what people don't realize is how much money they spend at the state level trying to block any reasonable kind of regulation that's happening. This is an area where we could, as a state, really tackle this. We've tried, we've made some strides, and I think we're definitely headed in the right direction. But I think you know, there are several Democratic presidential candidates who are having to answer for the fact that they've you know, Cory Booker is probably never going to get anywhere close to the nomination, largely because he's been essentially the dawn of the pharmaceutical industry. So if as long as our politics allow for such a huge impact of dollars and campaigns and lobbyists for what essentially is an epidemic, the rhetoric is great, But we've known about this in Espanola for a generation now, and their leadership, frankly, they have a mayor now who was quoted in the story who's talking seriously about it. But I have
Very
to say
much
there's been a lack of political leadership,
Right.
and frankly, a stranglehold from the pharmaceutical industry on the state legislature.
I do want to comment, though, because there is a major responsibility between the doctors, the medical practices, the drug distribution, and Walgreens, and it's called corporate social responsibility. Like, there always has to be that element in order for a business to be incredibly successful. If they identify the problem, they should, if they see that they're a part of the problem, they should actually be a part of the solution, too. Perfect example, gambling addiction. The state gaming, the state has gaming, and then you also have the gambling addiction group that's funded by all the casinos put together to one. That's a perfect example of corporate social responsibility.
But corporations have never been good at regulating themselves. So, like the reason why we have a role for policy and regulation is, I shop at Walgreens, full disclosure, but they're not going to do the right thing.
That's right.
Unless their market dominates it, or in fact, unless we as a community, through our elected officials, say this is unacceptable.
Well, can you
Well,
imagine,
Florida
can you
sued them,
imagine
you
the
know.
firestorm if Walgreens started saying, your doctor has prescribed this to you, but we don't think we should give it to you? I mean, there's a delicate balance for them. I'm not, advocating for, but we have to be aware that
That's a fair point.
there.
Let me slip Lana in here. Interestingly, the news this week, there is a potential settlement with opioid makers and the state's attorneys general, the association for all the...
Which we're part of, by the way. The
Yes,
lawsuit.
thank you for mentioning that, by the way, too. The attorney generals are pushing back. They want $45 billion. The manufacturers have offered $10 billion. Let me cut to the chase here. Wherever it's going to settle, each state's going to get some money. Should we start thinking about what we can do for Espanola now for things like recovery, maybe some new treatment centers? There's going to be a significant amount of money coming to New Mexico from this. Shouldn't Espanola get a fair share of this? As a make good, literally, from what's going on here?
I mean, we should distribute resources based upon need, and obviously they have a high need, so they would be at the top of the list. But I think the problem is statewide.
Yes.
So we've got to think about, how do we handle this problem locally and as statewide. So we need to think about this issue and how we're going to use those dollars. It's sort of disturbing that we can have these situations where companies, the tobacco industry being the first one, and then
That's
you
right.
have these settlements
That's right.
that doesn't seem like the right way to make good policy.
Right.
Correct.
We're waiting for the
Absolutely.
big settlement. And look what happened to the tobacco settlement in a lot of states, too, including ours. It's not exactly clean money from point A to point B.
And I think, I think that there's a very slow evolution in the way that we think about opioid addiction. And that if the settlement happens and if it's going to be effective for New Mexico, it's not just treatment for addiction, it's also treatment for pain, because that is where people, what we understand is that's where people start. They don't, they have physical pain that needs to
That's
be
right.
treated.
And
As a final, gotta go, Crystal. Sorry, my fault. But as a final note, the state is doing better. We should just get that in.
Absolutely.
There's no
yeah.
We've made a lot of
question.
progress.
No
We've made a lot of
question.
progress.
That's
We've got a
right.
long way to go, but we got a lot of progress.
That's right. Out of time for that one for this show, but it is back to school season. During our Facebook Live session this week, I talked with Kim Kirshen over at Locker Number 505, a great place, a nonprofit that provides appropriate school clothing and other items for K through 12 Bernalillo County students in need. Find that conversation on our New Mexico in Focus Facebook page.